seeing your favorite movie of the week at the cinema, not as many people going to the movies as there were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Are these just what we call secular trends, long-term trends? Are they going to bounce back up? Or are they permanent? All of the data suggests this is permanent. Okay? Because you and I have so many options, so many choices, so many different platforms. Now, if we can look at this next slide, I want to talk a little bit about some of the differences here between what I call push versus pull. Can I do this one, please? It's okay. Okay. Here's a few examples of push media. And it's black and white on purpose, because this is really your parents' media, for the most part. People gathering around as a family, watching the television. Do you do that anymore? Maybe so. Probably not every night, as was the norm. People going to the movies, reading a newspaper, and in the very old days, listening to the radio. These are push mediums. The information is pushed out to the audience. When I was growing up in the 1960s, had a very limited choice about what was on television. Actually, at one point, I remember, my earliest remembrance, we had 3 channels to pick from. All black and white. 3 channels. If there was a program that I wanted to watch, I had to be in front of the TV at 8 p.m. because that's when it was pushed out to me. You had to be there to see it, otherwise you missed it. We didn't have any recording devices, no DVRs, okay, no internet. Same thing with the newspaper. Newspaper came in the morning, okay? So it used to come in the afternoon, but that went away. So all of these mediums were push mediums. Now we go to the next one. Now we're in an era of pull. You and I pull in what we want, where we want, when we want, how we want. So it gives us the ultimate choice and the ultimate flexibility. Okay? And these are just some of the devices that you have. Okay? We had the iPod introduced in 2002. We had other MP3 players follow. See a couple different examples of the mobile phone. Recognize this? Anybody know what that is? I don't know if they're selling it here yet. The Kindle, the Amazon Kindle. Is it available here in Ecuador?
No.
Yeah. Anybody know? This is an e-book reader. It's an electronic book reader. Okay? I actually have one of those. Didn't bring it with me. It's really neat. Okay? The Kindle holds 2,500 books. Okay? It has a built-in dictionary. It has a built-in web browser. I can buy a book from Amazon and it can be delivered in about a minute or less. Okay? We have so many new technologies that are coming out that are changing these different media industries, right? But probably none greater than the iPhone. But again, I want you to just understand this idea about push versus pull. Okay? And think about the individual that's managing broadcast television station, a radio station, a newspaper company, a magazine company. They've had to adapt from this push environment to a pull environment. And quite frankly, many of them are not doing it real successfully. They don't know how to do it. Because they don't know how to reach people now. Everybody's different. In these old days, people gathered around this TV set, and you knew about how many people would be watching on any given night. You don't have any idea, really, how many people may be downloading a podcast, They don't really know how many people might be watching television online. Okay? All they can tell by is an IP address, whether or not that IP address connected. So what we have is a situation, as we can go through the next slide, please, about what's being called the new normal. Now, I don't know if you've heard this phrase or not. It's been used a lot to describe the financial industry and the financial services industry, to mobile phones. I don't know about your mobile phone screen, but it's much smaller than my television screen at home. So different production standards come into effect. Who's going to package and produce that mobile content? Okay? Who's going to write the blogs? Who's going to be responsible for the internet site and all the different pages on there? And the real challenge is how many of these are going to generate money. Because these are costs to implement, but the money does not flow back. He's talking about the challenge of going from the old media to the new media. And his quote goes like this. You may have heard this or seen this somewhere. We are now trading our old analog dollars for digital pennies. Because you see, an advertisement in the newspaper, the printed newspaper, only generates on average about 10 to 15% of what it costs online. So, if you charge $100 for a newspaper ad, you might get $10 or $12 for your newspaper ad online. What happened to the other 80, 90%? It's not there. Will advertisers eventually pay 80 to 90% more for that internet advertisement? What do you think? If you were an advertiser, would you do that? If you can buy something for 10% on the dollar, why would you pay 100%? Okay. So there's a challenge about how to support these platforms, how to make money off these platforms, yet we know everybody is adopting these platforms or adopting certain ones. Okay? So it's a huge, huge challenge. And let's look at this in just a little more detail, and I'll give you some numbers here. Where is consumer technology headed in 2013? These are global numbers, okay? All nations of the globe.